Good morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is nikymus, and you are welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empires free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality and I talk about personal and self-development. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share this video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. Now, this video is for the people that are going through a very massive awakening. They're going through transformation, evolution. You might have noticed that I've told you guys that when the downloads come in, I pull out my camera. That's the best thing I can do. You're a person who is going through transformation. And of course, you've gone through a very big, you're experiencing a very huge, massive shift in your life. Most likely, you could have discovered or not yet have discovered the path. There is going to come a time when the universe is going to force you to break certain cycles. Now, the journey of spiritual evolution can be very challenging, and at the same time, it can be painful as well. You know what I mean? So when you ever see a person who's doing their own thing and they seem like they are actually getting somewhere in life, you come close to them, you really ask them how they did it, how have they done it. There is one thing they're going to tell you, that they've had to experience very, very massive changes in their lives. And those changes, many people don't talk about them, but they are very intensive and also at the same time very painful, okay? Now, cycles include a lot of things. Cycles can simply be very destructive patterns that have been a part of your life previously. They were the things that used to be comfortable. You know, they seemed very comfortable to you because they gave you some kind of, some form of satisfaction in that time, okay? You thought that they were good for you. But now you're realizing that those things are not taking you anywhere, you know? You have been with some friends doing certain things that you knew that were not helping you evolve. And they were not taking you anywhere. They could even sometime have gotten you some form of an income at some point. But realizing that you have not actually been able to benefit from that income. You got the money at that time, you was happy, but now that money is gone, okay? Cycles can also be addictions, of course. We all struggle with some form of addiction. Everybody is a human being. We're all human beings, you know what I mean? So we can struggle with an addiction or two. Not everybody is perfect in this world. We all know that. But the time comes on your journey when the universe asks you, the universe forces you to break some cycles, okay? And you don't even know how to do it, you know? You've been having a very big group of peer friends or peer pressure, peer groups around you. And now you're thinking, how am I going to get rid of these people, you know, without having to hurt them? Because sometimes, you know, you've known these guys for a long period of time. And you're thinking, how am I going to really get rid of these guys? How am I going to get them out of the way? You know, so that you can now move on with your life, okay? And sometimes breaking out of cycles, like I've said, is a very painful process. It is something what you can do in bits. But when that moment comes, you will know that it's time, you know? You're going to know that it's time to stop something. And you're going to know that it's time to break and get rid of some things, whether they are certain hobbies that you used to think you loved, but you don't really love those hobbies. Maybe you are doing them because of pressure. Get rid of some friends who have been in your groups. You used to like them, but at this time you're thinking that, okay, so maybe this is the end of it, and you're going somewhere and they don't seem to see where you're going. And you think that maybe you had better take this journey by yourself alone. And there could be also addictions as well. I'm just giving you an example of cycles, but cycles can be anything, especially old cycles. This can be old cycles or old patterns, because now you're trying to recreate yourself into the new version of yourself. But at the same time, you're still stuck in old cycles, you know what I mean? So sometimes you're finding yourself getting dragged backwards. It's like you're moving a step forward, and then it's like you're being dragged like 3 steps backwards. There are some things from your past that are calling. So you have got 2 things that are calling in your life. You've got a calling to go somewhere or to move towards a certain direction. But at the same time, you have got your past that is calling you, And sometimes it's very easy and very comfortable to be dragged back to your past than actually to head ahead and do what it is you really have to do. I'm talking about your future self. So there's your older self and your future self. Your older self is calling you, and your future self is also calling you. So now your mind is in the middle. Your brain is telling you, listen, Desmos, let us move towards that direction, because it's time for you to grow, it's time for you to evolve, it's time for you to do something better in your life and to seek better in life. But then your older self is also calling you. Now you have these other people, they are coming around, dragging you backwards, oh, come on, we miss you, and last time there was this party, you was not there, and everybody was missing you, and those kind of things. But on the inside of you, you know that you really respect everybody. You respect them and you really like them. You love them and you wish them the best. But at the same time, they are going a certain direction that you do not want to go. Okay? That is when you're going to start feeling that pressure. And that pressure is like none other than you've ever seen before. So in the spiritual sense, we may try to call that process the dark night of the soul. You know what I mean? You're going through that dark night of the soul. There is things you're releasing, there is things you're letting go, but at the same time, those things are still attached to you. You know what I mean? This could be habits, like I've said. It could be past experiences, it could be past people, it could be past addictions, it could be a lot of things. And now you're stepping this foot into the newer version of you. Every now and then you're trying to create something for yourself. You're trying to go towards a certain direction. You're discovering yourself. You know what I mean? You are discovering a lot of things, hidden abilities that you've always had, that you never had a chance to use your entire life. Now that's when a person is going to feel a lot of pressure. And sometimes you're losing direction of what it is you need to do. And I'll tell you this from experience. I will never tell you something that I've not seen. That is the moment when your higher self is calling. Your higher self is dragging you towards your future self, to recreate yourself so that you can become the new version of you. But that process is very painful. It feels like there's a very big weight on your chest. Sometimes you may have said, I'm going to detach from these people for maybe 3-4 weeks, or maybe a month or 2. Let me see how it goes. And within that time, you're going to be struggling. You're going to be struggling. You miss this uncle, you miss that cousin, you miss that friend. Sometimes you're lonely. You're out there working on yourself. You're trying to create something new. And in most cases, you're even creating or doing something that many people don't even know about. You know what I mean? So sometimes is what I've been telling you sometimes in my videos, that usually when you're growing, when you're evolving to become the highest version of yourself, you're growing in isolation. The universe wants you to be alone. The universe is putting you on this path. But at the same time, that this path, there is things that you're starting to do that many people cannot accept. There's so many people around you that cannot accept and don't even recognize, even if you try to explain to them. Is the reason as to why sometimes you're trying to explain to people that, listen guys, I'm doing something, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And people are like, what are you doing? Why are you even wasting your time? Look around us, look around you. Do you see anybody doing those kind of stuff? That kind of thing. Even sometimes your families, they don't believe you. Nobody believes you that you can go anywhere, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you this, that breaking out of cycles is painful. There is nothing I will tell you that I do not like to come around and massage your ego and I tell you that there's anything that is easy. Anybody that you've seen, they have reached a milestone in their lives. They have reached a certain destination. They have gone somewhere in life. Or even sometimes they are going somewhere in life. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, nobody is going to lie to you. One of the things they are going to tell you, among other things, they're going to tell you that there came a time in their lives, when they had to break out of cycles. And I think that was the most painful part of their evolution and growth, when they had to really break away from certain things. Because sometimes you see, there's a time where you can recognize something that you know that is not serving you. There is something you think that this thing, however much I really like it, however much I really want to do it, I know that it's not serving me, and you really have to get out of that, those kind of habits, you know what I mean? And it's very difficult, you know what I mean? Because a lot of these things, our old cycles, our older self, is very deep within the subconscious. Even sometimes you can find yourself getting dragged back to do certain old things that you used to do back in the days, and you're thinking that you want to leave them behind, but at the same time, you're on this path, and you're starting to see the light. You can almost see where you're going. You may not really know what the destination looks like, but you can actually start to see where you're going, and you're like, oh, actually, I'm going to follow this. It looks like a very beautiful path. I'm going to follow this direction. You can almost smell it. You can almost feel it. You know what I mean? But then these other things start coming in your face. The things that you used to do. You may have had an addiction that you used to like back in the days, things you used to love to do. It's showing up in your face. Sometimes you're dragging backwards, and you're going to join those kind of activities or people or groups or whatever. And at the same time, you're feeling very bad because you're like, oh, what am I now going to do? Because now I've been thinking about going this direction, but now look at these things that are keeping on coming back into my life, and you don't even know what to do. You know what I mean? So that process, ladies and gentlemen, I will not even lie to you, is very, very overwhelming for anybody who is growing. It's going to take a lot of weight on you. You're going to feel that weight on your shoulders of breaking out of cycles. So you feel the intensity, and sometimes you can even get frustrated. Is the reason as to why you see a lot of people, they tend to go through this dark period, the dark night of the soul, where they get out of depression. You know what I mean? Because the brain is programming you for something new, but at the same time, there's things you're getting rid of. So you're in the middle of this, you're in the middle of nowhere, and the universe is putting that energy inside of you to go out somewhere and grow and evolve, and transform. And you're fighting within your mind. You're thinking, if I go that way and I'm going to leave these people behind, what will they think about me? Am I going to be missing my family? Am I going to be missing my friends? There is so many people around the world, ladies and gentlemen, who have done very big things in life. And there's been a point when they really had to break away from family. They had to break away from family. They had to break away from friends. They had to break away from addictions. It was very, very, very difficult. You know what I mean? So you have got to do what you have to do to make sure that you let a lot of things go. I can grant you this, ladies and gentlemen. You have got to do what you got to do. You have got to know that it does not matter how dark the path may seem. You are supposed to be on that path. There is things which are not going to make a lot of sense when you're on that path. You will question yourself. You will question your moves. Sometimes you may start getting shaky. You may start getting a little bit worried or afraid. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what it is you're doing at that time. But I've told you something, ladies and gentlemen. The journey of spiritual evolution does not have to make any sense. Let me repeat this one more time. The journey of growth and transformation does not have to make any sense at all. Why is it not making sense? It's because you are doing something you've never done before. And you're following a path that you've never followed before. So that path is not going to look very pretty. It is going to scare you. You're going to feel threatened. You're going to get worried. You're going to get depressed. You're going to get exhausted. There's a time where you're going to reach. There's a time I remember I think it was like 2.5 years ago. I had a couple of subscribers in that time, and I was a bit, a couple of videos deep into this path, and I was thinking that, is this the path I really want to take? Am I doing the right thing? So sometimes you're going to second guess yourself, you know what I mean? Because you don't see the result. And sometimes you're going to second guess yourself, and you may sometimes think you're doing something wrong, or you're doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong, ladies and gentlemen. You're simply on this path that is unfamiliar to you. It's unfamiliar to your mind. It is something new. You don't see the whole details. You may actually kind of see where you're going, but you do not have the whole details. And you do not know if you're doing the right thing. That is when you're going to completely be tempted to go back and fall back into old cycles and things like that. So what am I trying to say in this video is that it feels very intense when you're breaking out of old cycles and growing. You're growing and you're breaking out of old cycles and patterns, addictions, old acquaintances, friends, family members. You're going to have to make a sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to have to leave some people behind. The people who have made it, if you come close to them, they will tell you that usually there's a time they were on this path and they have to leave everybody behind because nobody would understand their journey. And nobody would understand where they were going. So sometimes they were meeting a lot of this resistance, a lot of, people used to mock them, what is he doing? They would see you sometimes trying to figure it around with some stuff in the garage. Your girlfriends have left you because they wouldn't believe in your dream. Your wives have divorced you, your husbands have divorced you. And you have decided to stick on that path. It's very painful. I cannot guarantee you that it's going to be easy, but it's going to be worth at the end. You're going to stick on that dream, chosen ones. It does not matter how shady it looks or how tough it seems. You are going to stick on that dream. It's not making a lot of sense. But when you look back in years, you will see that actually at one point in time you made the right decision, and you had to leave everything behind and break out of old cycles for you to be able to transform and become the highest version of yourself. That is the path that everybody who is on this journey is supposed to take. There's no other way around it. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. You guys know that I do love and appreciate your support. You can book a session with me. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. And until then, I'll catch you guys in my next one. There's almost signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.